Welcome back and welcome to another kind of readathon wrap-up video. I didn't film a TBR for this readathon, even though I did do a TBRI blog, so I will link the blog post down below. And I was giving regular updates on this readathon on all of the social medias, and I was doing an update a day on my blog as well. So if you followed me on my blog and have read my blog post, then you will have seen what I've been reading, but I thought I would kind of edit all those updates together for you and tell you exactly what I read during this readathon. So I will insert my vlog footage here, and then I will come back and tell you a bit about the books that I read. Right, it is Bout of Books this week and we are on day 3 and I haven't updated you yet. I did do an update on my blog, so if you haven't seen that, you should check that out because day 1 was far more successful than I thought it was going to be. So I'm still on cup of coffee number 1. It's like super cold, but we're here. So, day 1, I finished off One of Us is Lying. I had about 120 pages left, and I sort of started that at midnight because I'd been in the bath reading it, and I got out and finished reading it in bed. And I also finished listening to I Heart Christmas. I had about a quarter of that left. One of Us is Lying. I had about 120 pages left, and I sort of started that at midnight because I'd been in the bath reading it, and I got out and finished reading it in bed. And I also finished listening to I Heart Christmas. I had about a quarter of that left. And then I read the first 30% on my Kindle of the 7 Imperfect Rules of Elvira Carr. I was attracted to this book because it had guinea pigs on the front, and there are guinea pigs in it as well, which was very... So far I have read The Queen and the Prince from the Happily Ever After selection series. I was planning on reading one of these a day and I am on track with that. I actually really enjoyed diving back into this world, kind of more than I expected to. It felt quite comfortable being there. And then I'm also reading 2 stories from Because You Love to Hate Me a day, and I'm just about on track with that as well. And then yesterday was an audiobook kind of day. I listened to 2 whole audiobooks. They were quite short, but I listened to When You Reach Me, and I also listened to Boy Meets Boy because I've been meaning to listen to that for ages. And now I am going to take Elvira Carr and maybe the Happily Ever After book and go and sit outside in the sunshine for a little bit and do some reading. I also need to write my day 2 update post, so I will go and do that. I'll update you soon. I then also read The Favourite and the rest of the bonus material in this one, so I just have The Guard to go with this one. I kind of want to read that now, but I haven't read my 2 stories from this one yet today, so I need to do that one, and then I will be able to update my progress. Good morning. I did listen to some more of Eleanor Oliphant last night, so I am about an hour away from finishing that one, and I am going to finish the 7 Imperfect Rules of Elvira Carr. So I did a couple of reading sprints on Twitter this morning, which meant that I got a little bit further with Elvira Carr. I am very nearly finished it, and I've started listening to The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And I was reading that whilst I was packing my bags, and we're doing well with the packing, but now my back really hurts and I just want to lie down, or maybe I just need some wine, you know. Back to reading, gonna finish. But today I started listening to Hunger by Roxane Gay on audiobook. I was listening to that just whilst doing bits and pieces, and I listened to all of that this morning. It's not that long, but audiobook. And then I just did some reading in the bath, do my best reading in the bath, and I read 123 pages of Zen diagram. I started the first chapter of this yesterday, but I didn't get very far with it, so I started it again today, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm going to try and finally finish reading The Guard before bed, and then probably read some more Zen diagram, but that might take me into after midnight, which I count as day 7 reading. So there are about 4 hours left in the Bout of Books readathon. Today I went and read by the pool, and I finished reading Zen Diagram. I really loved this one, and I think I'm going to make a video about it because it was just really feel good and I loved it. And then I finally finished reading The Guard in Happily Ever After. So I've now read all of Happily Ever After. So that is another book finished. And I started reading this one, and I'm almost halfway through this one. So we're about to go and get some dinner. But before we go, I'll just read a little bit more, see if I can get another chapter done before we leave. Yeah, and then hopefully finish this before bedtime. Oh, and I also have a couple of stories left in Because You Love to Hate Me, which is right here on the bookshelf. A couple of chapters left in that, not chapters, stories. So I will hopefully get those done as well. So there is half an hour left in this year's Bout of Books, and I am about 20 pages away from finishing this, so I think I'm going to do it in the next half hour and then write my wrap-up post. Yay! So I hope you enjoyed that footage. I tried to remember to kind of update regularly, but you'll see that a lot of it is very late at night with me in my pyjamas. If you do like the vlog style readathon wrap-ups, then please give me a thumbs up so I know, and I will continue to make more of these during the readathons that I do, because you know I love a readathon. So let me tell you a little bit about the books that I read. I ended up actually reading 10 books during the Bout of Books week. I was aiming to read 7 books, and I wanted to kind of really get a wriggle on with some library books that I needed to take back to the library before I left the country, so I was doing that. So I read a combination of ebooks, audiobooks and real physical books, and I finished off a couple of books as well as reading some whole books, but the 10 books is books that I read from start to finish during the readathon, so I'm really happy with that. So I listened to When You Reach Me by Rebecca Stead. That was recommended to me by James, so I'll leave James's channel as a link. I also listened to Boy Meets Boy by David Levithan. I have been meaning to read more David Levithan for ages. If you can see over here, I have some David Levithan on my shelf. I downloaded this one from NetGalley ages ago, so I was looking for kind of another audiobook I could read to get my NetGalley percentage up before I go back home. So yes, and then another one I read because of NetGalley was Eleanor Oliphant Is Completely Fine by Gail Honeymoon. I listened to that on audiobook. I kind of made a bit of a mistake of listening to that when I was reading a very, very similar ebook that I have already reviewed on my blog, and that is the 7 Imperfect Rules of Elvira Carr. I read this one on my Kindle, and this was a NetGalley copy that I had, and as I say, I've already posted a review. And this one and Eleanor Oliphant had very, very similar characters, and both of them abbreviated their names to Ellie as well, which totally didn't help me. I should have read more about what each of them was about before I decided to read them together. Oh well, I'll only make that mistake once. I'll remember to kind of read the synopsis of the book properly. But I read those on, well, no, I listened to Eleanor Oliphant and read Elvira Carr on here. Then another audiobook that I listened to, and I listened to this while I was packing, which was interesting because it gave me a kind of impetus to kind of tidy up as I was packing, and that's the Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, which I'd been wanting to listen to for a while, and I was like, well, I need an audiobook to listen to whilst I'm packing anyway, so I may as well listen to this one. And it was quite relevant. I don't know that I would employ everything that she decides, and I think I need to kind of get back when I get back here and put some of it into work, but it was interesting. And then I read this book, Happily Ever After by Kira Cass, which includes the short stories or novellas from the selection series. Where's my contents page gone? Goodness. It's got The Queen, The Prince, The Guard, The Favourite, scenes from Celeste, which was interesting, The Maid, a little epilogue called After the One, and a Where Are They Now? And this book also has beautiful illustrations in. So if you have read the selection series, you don't have to have read the elite part of it, the elite and the crown, not the elite, the heir, that's right. You don't have to have read the 5 books, you just have to have read the first 3. Then I would really recommend this one. And I did this one as a story a day, which you'll have seen in my updates that you've just watched. Then another audiobook I listened to was Hunger by Roxane Gay. I got this one from Audible, and I really enjoyed listening to this one. I'm thinking about doing a whole video review of this one, or I might review it in another way, which I will get to in a second. Then I read Zen Diagram by Amy Brandt. I really was looking forward to reading this one. This was probably the book I was most excited about, and it wasn't a letdown. I really enjoyed it, and I read this half one day, half the next day, which was great. No, yes, that's right. And then another book with short stories, It's Because You Love to Hate Me, which is by various young adult authors with challenges set for them by booktubers, which was interesting. I have to say, obviously, I'm not a big fantasy reader, so I didn't love all of these stories. I tried reading each one. A couple of them I didn't finish, but I always read what the booktuber had to say about it, and there were 13 short stories in this one, obviously because of 13 and the connotations associated with that, and I read 2 of these each day, apart from the day I wasn't feeling very well, so then the next day I read 4 of them, so there we go. And then I read A New Model by Ashley Graham. I read this all in one sitting on the final day of the readathon, and I really enjoyed this one. And then there was 2 books which I had started before the readathon, but I listened to and finished on the first day of the readathon so I could get rolling with the page count. I listened to the final 100 pages of I Heart Christmas by Lindsay Kelk, and I read the final 120 pages of One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. I enjoyed both of those, and they got the readathon off to a great start. So in total, I read 10 whole books and finished off 2 others. I read 2,369 pages, and my eyes are a little bit sore having just finished that. I'm filming this the next day. I love Bout of Books. If you haven't done Bout of Books before, the next one is coming up in January, and I just found that doing a readathon right at the start of the year was an amazing way to kickstart my reading this year, so I took part in that one. This was Bout of Books 20, and I think I've been doing it since about Bout of Books 7 or 8, so I'm quite happy with that one, and I just love the community. I did challenges every day apart from the day I wasn't feeling very well, and I took part in the first Twitter chat. The second Twitter chat ended up being at like 9 AM on Saturday morning, which I wasn't going to take part in. I was asleep. So yeah, it's really good, and I really recommend it if you haven't taken part before. If you did take part, then please do leave me a comment and let me know. And as I say, if you enjoyed the vlog footage that I put in, please give me a thumbs up, and then I will know to do more of that in future readathon wrap-up videos. Okay, I will be back with another video soon. I am thinking that, like with Booktubeathon, I'm going to make a kind of 7 mini reviews video for this one. So look out for that coming soon. And yes, thank you very much for watching.